Hello, my name is Sarup. I lead a team of product managers here focusing on customer experience, which includes knowledge management, communities, portals, mobiles, and self-service.
Catherine Gazzo, Senior Outbound Product Manager working with Sarup's team on the customer experience pillar for knowledge, communities, and service portal.
Welcome to the session on knowledge management for customer service. It's a very distressing time right now with COVID and everything that's going around. And, this would have been my fifth session with you on knowledge management, my fifth knowledge session. Every time that we have interacted has been awesome. So today, while we are going digital, we have a lot of awesome content to share with you. Knowledge management per se, you will have a lot of work that you may want to think about from a self-service perspective. And as organizations are doing digital transformation, self-service is one of those key things that they are considering. And knowledge helps you to do that through content that users can use for self-service, where your agents can do for better agent resolution and issue resolution. And then as a knowledge manager, being able to govern some of those things. So let's jump into the content. Obviously, I'm going to share some of the content that is future looking, so a mandatory safe harbor slide. So here is the agenda that we want to cover today. We'll briefly cover the knowledge management ecosystem, how knowledge management fits in with your rest of the organization and the processes. We'll talk a little bit about best practices, and then I'm going to hand it over to Catherine, who's going to talk you through some feature highlights, and we have an exciting demo to showcase some of the new capabilities that we have built recently. So in your knowledge ecosystem, you typically have a structured knowledge base. This is where your knowledge articles are stored. And those are then used by your customers or your employees as they're trying to self-solve themselves. They can find that content through portals, through a mobile web application, through an embedded virtual agent, or even they can find that content on third-party portals based on Adobe Experience Manager. Same content can be also pushed by SEO to external social systems, and through social integration, you can push that content to social media as well. On the other side of this equation, you have your agent. Agents are trying to resolve issues, and they use knowledge for that. As a byproduct of solving those issues, they may create knowledge articles. We may also have a centralized team of knowledge authors and domain experts within the organization that are creating knowledge articles. And all of this is governed by a knowledge manager and using the product for knowledge governance. On the other side, we have communities, which is user-generated content from peer-to-peer content. And this is where your customer or employee may be asking others to solve their issues, right? So a bunch of participants can come in and solve those. As an outcome of that, we have a lot of crowdsourced content, a bulk of which is Q&A with some correct answers, which is a treasure trove of information, and then blogs and files and documents and videos as well. Community is also a place where agents may participate if they want to help customers who have not logged a formal case, and then being able to help them. So agents typically participate in communities as well. When a question does go unanswered in the community and it's deemed to be something that you may want to put onto the as a case, agents can, moderators can, and agents can create cases out of that to help them formally. Again, all of this is governed through a community governance and moderation process where a moderator can come in and help out. In addition to this, we also harvest knowledge. So correct answers from the community is a rich source of information. You can create articles with attribution and put it into the knowledge base, which is sometimes a matter of pride for external community participants to come in. We also recognize that you may have other content within your ecosystem, like documentation and portals and microsites. Currently, we do not search those from ServiceNow, but we typically see some of our partners enabling search and where you can bring in this content into your ecosystem, but are part of the whole ecosystem of knowledge from customer processes to employee processes. So that's an overview. Let me talk through some of the specific features that we have. We broadly classify these features into three areas. One is the end user experience, then is the agent experience, and then somewhere in the middle is the process governance, which allows to tie these things together. So in terms of the highlights in the end user experience, you can see that we have a knowledge service portal that customers can use to access knowledge. It's highly configurable, so you can create your own custom search experiences with facets. You can enable your customers to actually subscribe to content, keep themselves up to date. We have SEO capabilities for our users to be able to find content on public search engines like Google and Bing, ability to bring content, some limited content into your search. And knowledge is also available through VA. We also have the Now mobile app for employee and agents that can be used for finding knowledge. We also have a robust set of search capabilities through our existing Zing search, which includes stemming and partial search, and then BM25 based relevancy and all that. It helps you in your customer being able to find content. Before we go to the process governance, I'm going to talk about the agent experience. So your agent is actually resolving issues. So they can leverage contextual search from knowledge communities catalog, and that can be used for resolving issues. They can take the help of dynamic filtering so that cases have already filtered out knowledge based upon the metadata like product or location to find the right knowledge in the contextual search. Obviously, task integration, where you can get the ability to attach an article to resolve an issue for a quick resolution, flagging or fixing content if that article is not appropriate, and then also reporting knowledge gap. One of the key things that we also have is in-context article creation. So if you as an agent are able to resolve an issue, but then there was no knowledge for it, you can create an article then and there and in the process. And there is a lot of configurability and ease in the process as well. And then you can get the same behavior, whether it's in the classic UI through contextual search, or if you're using our agent as Workspace UI, then you have the agent assist. And the agents can also interact with cases coming from community, as I was showcasing in the ecosystem slide a little bit earlier. At the heart of the knowledge capabilities is process governance. This is where we really pride ourselves in being able to scale for organizations with multiple departments, thousands and millions of articles that some of our customers are using. So you can have multiple knowledge bases for each department. Each department can have their own workflows. You can leverage versioning for keeping your content fresh and audited. You can leverage our article templates for standardizing content. With the styling capabilities that we added recently, you can have beautiful articles created. And then you can also reuse articles within other articles through blocks. We have capabilities around feedback. Feedback is a gift, we sometimes say, but what do you do with it? So we have built feedback capabilities that are actionable so that a negative feedback does lead into somebody being able to create an action, create an article or update an article. Other capabilities are like AQI for KCAS, knowledge dashboards for real-time reporting on your usage and governance. Other capabilities like group ownership, where you want to really promote collective ownership of content rather than a single person owning the content, so that if a feedback comes, one of the group can take care of it. If unfortunately one of the group members leaves the company or changes a role, then the group can continue managing those articles. Community harvesting, we talked about that in the previous slide. Translation management, yet another capability where combined with versioning and automated translations, dynamic translations that we have added recently, you'll hear about this a little bit from Catherine. It makes it really powerful and easy for you to manage global environments, global deployments where you have articles in multiple languages. Another key feature around governance is knowledge demand insights. How can we really find out what knowledge do we want to create? It almost feels like magic, but we'll show you some of that work that we have done. And then we also recognize sometimes that you have content that is highly regulated, like HR related content, where some policies you may not want even the admins to be able to see. So you can do scope knowledge bases as well. All of this is nicely wrapped around KCS. So we are a KCS V6 verified product. What does that mean? It means that we are one of the few tools that has knowledge management and case management integrated into the product. It allows you to, be sure that our product meets the stringent requirements that is coming out of the Consortium for Service Innovation. At a very high level, KCS does talk about a few principles, just quickly reiterating them here. You can create content as a byproduct of solving cases. You can evolve the content based on demand and usage. So for example, if you created a content for a specific case, it never gets used, it's probably not going to get updated. And that's okay. But if another user actually uses that content, that feedback of that usage actually helps in improving the content. And then it's a collective responsibility. So you may have created the content, but somebody may flag or fix it because they are using the content for a different use case. In that case, the article actually evolves and is better. And then it fosters learning, collaboration, and improve over time. So if you run a KCS program, what do you expect? So these are some of the key metrics that were gained over a period of 12 months in one of the cases implementations within ServiceNow. Time to relief, 25% reduction there. So because of self-service and agent productivity, you improve your time to relief. Your external article views, if you're writing good content, and if you're writing this content in the language of the customer, because you're creating that content in the context as you're solving the issues, those articles are more findable. So the article views have gone up. Even promoting your agents to self-solve using knowledge instead of trying to go and figure it out by themselves from in the agent assist capability. There also article views are really up 78%. So to wrap things up in terms of benefits of knowledge, I just wanted to let you know a few best practices. Some of these may sound repetitive, but it's better for retention sometimes to know what is important. In terms of customer experience, enabling self-service is one of those easier things that you may want to do. Self-service, specifically in this kind of situation that is going on, may help your customers and employees get to answers quickly without having to call. The knowledge service portal is a great help. It allows you to quickly configure your experience that you want and help your customers get to knowledge and do self-service. Your users are also able to subscribe through the content and they can stay updated. And then feedback management. Feedback is a gift. And when customers give you feedback, they expect you to get back to it. And with feedback management, we make it easy for you to take that feedback in a closed loop process, being able to provide your customers back some information. And then SEO is another great way of promoting your content, specifically if you have public portals, then putting the content out for Google and Bing to be able to find them better. And again, when you are allowing your customers to create cases from the portal, do provide knowledge content for deflection. And then crowdsourcing your resolution through communities. That's a great way of multiplying how you do provide self-service. With respect to agent experience, encourage your agents to search as early as possible during the issue resolution process. And at that point of time, they are likely to find an answer from the knowledge base that may help them resolve the issue before they start researching themselves. And you can help them by providing context-aware content in that process by configuring to find knowledge in communities and catalog. You should also encourage them to interact with that knowledge. If they find something that is relevant, they can attach it. If it is something that they want to refer to in the future, they can mark it as helpful. And if they're not able to use that, but they think that there is a something that needs to be fixed, they can flag it or fix it. Obviously, another key suggestion from KCS is to create knowledge in the context, not wait for 5 p.m. to when you resolve all your cases and close the notes. You can capture that in the context, in the customer's language, and doing that helps in finding the content. Reporting knowledge gaps when you don't find that, again, a key part of the way to use knowledge. And then your agents can also convert unanswered questions from the community into cases and help the community answer some of those tough ones that don't get answered. From a governance standpoint, knowledge bases can be used for multiple departments. We also see sometimes some customers actually set up knowledge bases for a specific audience. So they may have one knowledge base for the customer versus one knowledge base for the agents. It's typically not a good practice. You might end up duplicating content. You can use templates and other capabilities to actually use the same content, but show or hide a specific section based upon who is viewing the content. Adding on templates also help in improving readability. So for example, if an article is very cleanly outlined as symptoms, causes, and resolution, then it's easily readable and findable. Metrics can't say more. You need to track the metrics of usage and governance of content and continuously improve yourself. And the last couple of things around gamification and moderation of communities, where you can leverage communities and encourage users to engage more by providing gamification and points. And then moderation is a way to ensure that the right kind of content is getting promoted and others are not. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Catherine for going through the feature highlights.
So what we want to walk through before we dive into the demo is just 3 key features that we saw released in New York and Orlando. The first one being Knowledge Demand Insights. So Knowledge Demand Insights compares intelligence of cases with your knowledge base to predict knowledge gaps that may exist. And once gaps are identified, admins can create assignment rules to assign tasks to specific knowledge authors to take action and create the missing content. It is key for knowledge managers to pinpoint these knowledge gaps to improve the content health and increase case deflection. Today, knowledge managers are left to sift through case analytics and compare them to knowledge to identify these gaps manually, and this process can be timely. And we wanted to automate this process to streamline the identification of knowledge gaps and improve the deflection of future cases. In Orlando, we also enhanced the knowledge experience in Agent Workspace by increasing the real estate and adding indicators to enable agents with the information that they need to solve cases efficiently. With the enhanced knowledge functionality, agents are now empowered with the right tools to do their job effectively and efficiently, improving the time to value for customers. So agents now have access to custom knowledge lists for increased visibility of published, unpublished, flagged, or feedback tasks for all articles. Metadata is also being surfaced for agents, so an understanding of an article's ratings, views, last updates, as well as read times to understand the length of an article. All of this will improve the quality of articles that they're sending to customers to close cases. Lastly, in New York, we introduced knowledge translation management. So we know more and more of our customers have a global presence, so the need for knowledge translation management has never been greater. Today, knowledge administrators and admins typically have a high overhead of tracking translation, as well as updating what is missing in mass exports to third-party translation vendors, which can be a pretty lengthy process. With knowledge translation management, we're hoping to improve the entire process and automate this as much as possible. So now we're going to jump into the demo where we'll cover the 3 features from Orlando and New York, as well as show you a little bit of a customer flow. To start off this demo, I'm logged in as George Warren, a customer that has an issue with their water filter, and I'm on the customer service portal where I can access knowledge, communities for peer-to-peer communication, and create a case. Since I know the current problem I'm facing, I'm going to go straight to the knowledge portal and conduct a search. And the first search result that's coming back is cleaning the water inlet filter. So I'm going to go ahead and view the article. And as I go through, I notice that there's key information missing within the steps provided. So I'm going to go ahead and rate this article low. And seeing as I rated it low, it's going to prompt me for feedback. So this article is incomplete. And in the details, I'm going to list missing information around cleaning the filter before replacing, and hit submit. Seeing as this knowledge article didn't solve my issue, I'm going to go ahead and create a case. So fill out my product, the subject I have, and as I fill out the subject, you'll notice that relevant knowledge articles are coming back as a last-ditch effort to solve a case via self-service prior to submitting. Since I already went through a self-service journey, I'm going to still continue to fill out this case. And submit. Since I've submitted the case, I'm going to go ahead and log in as John Jason, who's a customer service agent. Go ahead and I'm logged into Agent Workspace and go to all cases here. The first case is the replace inlet filter that we just saw George Warren submit. So I'm going to go ahead and click in. And I'm going to go ahead and assign this case to myself before I start working on it. So ServiceNow Workspace promotes productivity with a multiple tab interface so that agents can work on multiple tasks simultaneously, which I'm going to show you here. So I can review the case details that were submitted. I can also scroll down here and I can view the activity that happened prior to George Warren submitting that case. So I can see the keywords that were searched. And I click show more. I can actually see the knowledge article that was viewed. From here, we're automatically taking that short description and auto searching for related cases. Since there's no matches, I'm going to go ahead and search for knowledge articles. And since George Warren viewed this article, I'm going to view it myself. In Orlando, we improved the knowledge integration by allowing agents to improve the real estate to consume knowledge articles, as well as interjecting metadata to allow the agent to understand the knowledge article better. So the read time, last time it was updated, how many views, and the average rating. I also, by permission, can flag an article if there's any information missing. And I can also view an article in the full page where I can also edit if needed. Seeing as the knowledge article didn't solve George Warren's issue, I'm going to go ahead and create a knowledge article from this case. So I'm going to choose the knowledge base and the article template I want to use. And then from here in the KCS template, it's automatically going to port over the short description as well as the issue straight from the case. And we're leveraging the end user's language, right? The customer's wording, so that in future cases, an end user can find it easier. As well as this is going to help improve the agent's time to publish. So as I go through, I'm going to go ahead and fill out this template. And just for demo purposes, I'm going to quickly import this. And I'm going to save. So two things happen. I'm pushing it down a publishing workflow that is already in place. And the article has actually been attached to the case. Right here. So I can close out the case if needed. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sign in as John Adams, who's a knowledge admin, and go ahead and approve that knowledge article I just published. So when creating a new article, we saw a translation task get created. Translation management was a new capability introduced in New York to automatically create translation tasks based upon designated languages in a knowledge base. And this is to really help alleviate that high overhead of translation for knowledge managers today. So I'm going to go ahead and hop back to John Jason. Go to my list, and underneath the knowledge module, I have my task translations. So as you can see here, there was two requests created for that knowledge article right here, German and French, based upon the knowledge base assignments. So I'm going to go ahead and click into the request. And when I click translate, what's going to happen is I'm going to have a side-by-side view, one of the original article that's in English, and then the article that we're going to translate in German. So from here, if I'm a German translator, I can either manually translate this, or I can leverage third-party translation through our dynamic translation plugin for tools like IBM, Microsoft, or Google. So if I click this machine translate, this warning is going to pop up that just says any changes I made on the right-hand side are going to be overwritten, as I'm going to leverage machine translation here. As I can see here, it's automatically translated, and I have the German initial article here. So as an author and a translator, if I need to make any edits to this machine translation, I can reference the source article on the left as I do so. I'm going to go ahead and create the draft. Again, we're pushing it down that workflow that's in place. We also saw George Warren create a feedback on an article on the Knowledge portal. So I'm going to go to my task and my feedback. And right here, I have a feedback task. And the reason the article is incomplete, and it was submitted by George Warren. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this task. And from here, I'm able to see exactly what the reason was. Article is incomplete. And the description, which is missing information around cleaning the filter before replacing. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this article. And I'm going to check it out. And when I do so, it's going to create a new version. I'm going to improve the real estate here so I'm able to edit. And I'm going to add a new list item around I'm going to go ahead and publish this article since I've updated. The article has now been published. I now have a new version. And I can actually go here to see the article versions itself. And from here, I can actually click to compare two versions and have a side-by-side view of what has been added will be highlighted. And if anything was removed, I would see a strike through. I'm going to go ahead and sign back in as John Adams, the knowledge admin. And we know as knowledge managers, the top priority is to understand if we're creating the right content and solving customer issues and enabling our agents to solve the cases that are coming inbound. So in Orlando, we introduced Knowledge Demand Insights that automates the discovery of knowledge gaps in our knowledge bases today. So addressing these knowledge gaps will improve the effectiveness of self-service as well as increase case resolution. So the way that this graph is organized is by the number of cases that are in a cluster. And these clusters are created by our machine learning similarity algorithm. And they're grouped by the highest number of cases on the left and the lowest number of cluster cases on the right. And it's structured like this based upon the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule, that states for many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. So if we solve the biggest cluster, we're going to be deflecting the higher percentage of cases that are coming inbound. So I'm able to dive into a specific cluster here. And when I do so, I have all 160 cases that have been clustered together. And from here, I can dive into each one and actually review the case itself. But we know that 160 cases is a high number and a manual lift for knowledge managers and time consuming. So at the top, we're giving an option to generate a representative sample. I do that, we're going to actually take those 160 cases down to 10, which is a much more manageable experience, where I can still dive into the cases to understand what they are. Once I have a good idea of the specific knowledge gap that exists today, I can click on the cases that I want to generate a knowledge gap for. Create a knowledge gap for the selected cases. And it's going to prompt me for a description. So this description is going to be used to be sent to a knowledge author to create this knowledge article to fill the gap. So I'm going to go ahead and create a small description. I'm going to press OK. When I did that, a feedback task was created similar to the one that we saw in translation management and the one that George Warren did on the article on the knowledge portal. This one was automatically assigned to John Jason, and it gives the description as well as it'll give them an idea of the cases that were created off the gap. So if I need more information as a knowledge manager to create this knowledge article, I can view those as well. So the last thing I want to show you is that to set up and configure knowledge demand insights, we've added it into our knowledge guided setup. I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to scroll down. It's the very last one. But through guided setup, we'll walk you through the activation as well as the configuration of these different modules to enable knowledge demand insights on your site today. So we just covered the demo and wrapped it up, but I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper into the knowledge management releases that we have done. So specifically looking at New York and Orlando, which we touched on, translation management. We also touched on that improvement of the agent workspace with knowledge, as well as knowledge demand insights. But within New York, we also introduced style templates. We also introduced a unified search indexing, importing of new versions, as well as advanced comments. And then Orlando, we introduced scope knowledge bases, similar articles from case, as well as schedule to publish. And if you guys have any questions or follow up on anything that you saw either in the demo or in the slides, feel free to reach out to Sarup and I. Thank you guys so much for joining us virtually. Let us know if you guys have any follow-up or questions on the content that was reviewed.
Thanks again for joining the digital version of Introduction to Knowledge Management. If you have any questions, do let us know. Thank you.